Danmachi Season 5 is here, and it's time for us to find out which of the girls is going to join Belle's harem this time, because we can't go an entire season without having some new girl show up that joins Belle's harem, because it's not already big enough as it is. Apparently this season, it's Syr. Syr is finally making her move. Now, granted, I already had a feeling that Syr liked Belle, but I guess now she's officially joined the harem, and yes, shots fired. Shots fired. It's like everybody's going, wait, there's an unspoken rule that you don't date Belle, where all the girls have decided apparently with this unspoken rule that you don't try to pursue Belle because they all want to pursue him, and they're all like just kind of holding the line. Hold the line. And Syr's like, with this, I guess with this whole thing with happening with Ryu, I guess she's finally decided at that point to take that step. Now, I don't normally have lots to talk about with Danmachi, but I will admit episode 1 of season 5 has raised a bunch of question marks. I almost feel like the writer tipped their hand a little bit too much. Like they have these cards and they're going, here, I'm going to show you a peek, and you're like, I see all of them. It seems to be indicating that Syr is a goddess, or at least she's in the role to become a goddess. I have two theories, because honestly, and this might be because of the adaptation, I honestly feel like, except for season 4, it really does feel like a lot of things were glossed over, and I've been told by people that it's in the novel, it's just they never adapted it, but with season 4, they at least had the creator on board, so it seemed like season 4 was easily one of my favorite seasons. But I don't really know much about the goddesses and how exactly that works. I mean, initially when we first introduced the series, it was this idea that the goddesses went down to Earth, and they started, mingling amongst the humans, and they gave up their status, basically. And so I don't know if there's a possibility that people that aren't goddesses or gods can actually become them. And so right now I'm of two minds. One is that Syr has the ability to become a goddess, and thus that's going to be the story going forward. Or possibly she's always been a goddess, she's just been hiding her identity. Or maybe possibly she's somehow connected to Freya in some way. I mean, they look kind of similar. They got similar hair color and, different eye colors, but it was a possibility of them being connected. But I've never really given Syr much thought. But this first episode, has already opened up so many doors. What connection does she have to Freya? What does Freya mean by the idea if your purpose has been blown to Belle, you can't see him ever again? And yes, the very opening scene seems to be indicating a lot of stuff. It has her in this field, she's crying, and she's talking about the past. What's the past? Current time. The idea that she remembers all the times that she brought Belle lunch and everything like that. She's recalling back in the past. So that first scene is sometime in the future. Now, where is she? That's the question mark. Now, I don't think we've ever really seen much outside of the town. So I'm not sure if it's outside of the town. Maybe she gets exiled or something like that, or sent off. Or possibly, and again, this goes to the whole idea that she's talking about, the shackles of goddesshood. Possibly she's going to become a goddess. Or possibly sent up to heaven. And maybe that's a shot in heaven. Is there a possibility at some point we're going to have, her identity gets revealed? Could it be possibly Freya that reveals it because she doesn't want her to get too close to Belle? Because yes, Freya likes Belle. Why would she okay Syr to date Belle? While giving this caveat that if you get caught, you can't see him ever again. Will she reveal it? But will that come to light, what she is, that she's possibly either, maybe a goddess that is being hidden? Is she on the route to becoming a goddess? Is she a candidate to become a goddess? Did she lose her goddessness, her powers? Will it get revealed, and thus she possibly, goes on with this goddesshood and becomes a goddess? I don't know. I don't know if they've ever indicated anything before this season about Syr. Just the fact that she's working at that, that cafe and all that kind of stuff. I don't really recall them ever indicating anything else. Now, another thing that was actually noted throughout the episode, or at least it was like casually kind of dropped off the side, was when it was first brought up that Syr sent a letter to Belle, and everybody had the meeting, and they talk about the unspoken rule that nobody dates Belle. Hestia says that she heard that Syr was giving him lunches, and so she wanted to sneak up, check in on her. Because apparently there's a secret network between Hestia and Lily that they're constantly monitoring anybody that gets close to Belle. And so yes, when she heard about these lunches, she went to go see Syr. And what did she say? I could never find her. I've never met her before. That's very curious. Now, again, it does indicate that at least Freya, the Familia, has been monitoring her and guarding her, which is another indication that she's something very important. So possibly they were, I guess, shooing Hestia or distracting her or having Syr move whenever Hestia got close. But that's the question mark. Why has she never seen Syr? Can she not see Syr? Do they keep her from seeing her? Is it a possibility that they don't want Hestia to see Syr because she'll recognize her? That's all a massive question mark. And again, it does seem like Freya's Familia and Freya herself has been keeping sort of a guard on Syr and her identity and where she's at and who's around her, and yes, protecting her. So very, very interesting stuff here. Sort of bringing a character that, again, has always just been a maid making lunches for him, not really significant in any way, suddenly out of nowhere is seemingly somebody very, very important. Important enough that, yes, Freya's right-hand person, their assistant, their personal assistant, is delivering a love letter, an invitation to a date on her behalf, which is pretty crazy. But I guess that'll all lead into why Hedden himself, which I've seen in the PVs, why Hedden himself is going to put some major effort into having Belle learn how to properly treat her. Could it be an idea of just they know that Syr is going to end up becoming a goddess and being sent off to heaven, and thus she won't be able to be around Belle? Massive question mark there. It could also be that Freya wants to have Syr be pure in some way in order for her to take her position in this whole festival, which I don't think that's the case because the festival apparently only lasts for like 3 days. So I don't see why there would be a lot of effort put into that. But yeah, interesting stuff. I'll be interested to see what happens with Syr, how important she is. I guess my biggest concern that I had coming into this season, because I didn't really think the season was going to be that good. I seen the PVs and it was just literally Belle and Syr going out on a date. It wasn't selling me on this season, but now that we've already kind of included so many characters, I am very curious to see where they go from there. That said, speaking of Freya, before I forget, that ED was chef kiss. Absolute chef kiss ED. I didn't watch the OP. I'm glad I didn't because apparently I've seen some people commenting that it spoils too much for non-light novel readers, so I'm possibly going to take their word on that and possibly not watch the OP. But the ED, man... Freya with the stockings, I could not watch it. Well, technically, it's one of those EDs where the person that made it wanted to highlight everything. The whole beginning segment is just feet. It's her taking off her shoes and it's showing feet, and then it goes up the thighs, and then it goes up to the chest, and then it goes up in the head. They literally wanted to show everything. But yeah, me particularly more the thighs and the upper chest. It was spicy. I've always liked Freya's character, but yeah, that design with that ED was just absolutely great. But yeah, they've always kind of indicated the idea that Freya has always been very into Belle, very intrigued by him, and thus it does make sense why she's kind of doing some things for Syr. But again, like I said, why would she open the door to Syr unless there's some sort of connection between her and Syr? But anyways, the rest of the episode, really solid. We get to pretty much the aftermath of everything that happened in the previous season, which is great because honestly, about my only negative that I gave season 4 was literally how they wrapped up that final battle. It just felt so anticlimactic, and it just kind of seemed like it rushed back to town. It's like everything's wrapped up, and peace, we're out. And so having this new season kind of come out, and we kind of finally get the aftermath of all that, it almost feels like this episode should have been, or at least part of this episode should have been at the end of the last season, which is, yes, kind of getting the conclusion for everybody. Main thing being, yes, Lily finally leveled up. Man, I will admit, when I was watching this episode, like I said, the opening scene, I was like, okay, why is she crying? What, is she a goddess? Is she in heaven right now? And then it cuts forward to them in that room, and they're like, Lily, you have ranked up. And I'm like, holy crap. This has been the saddest thing about Lily, and I was bringing this up when I was talking about season 4. It's it so sucks that Lily is still to this day level 1. And yes, it makes sense because she's always been a supporter. She's always carrying the bags. It's not like she's fighting things. But it was always that question mark of why can't she get assist experience or something like that? But here, yes, it makes sense because what happened in season 4? We had Lily actually standing up and actually doing attacks and fighting. She was using, I think she was using magic items, something like that. But she was assisting directly with what they were fighting with. So it was so cool to finally see her finally level 2. She's no longer she's still probably extremely weak compared to everybody else, but it's at least she's finally level 2. It was so cool. But then she's like, oh, that's right, Haruhime is also level 1. I'll make sure I support her. Oh yeah, by the way, she leveled up too. It's now, yes, Haruhime should level up because of the crazy stuff that she did as well. Everybody did some really cool stuff in the last season. That last dungeon encounter, everybody should be leveling up. It's just sad that, yes, Belle's not going to be leveling up. Hestia's I'm not going to rank him up. I refuse. But no, I was super happy for Lily because obviously, for those who don't know, Lily is easily my favorite. She's like easily my favorite number one girl. Hestia is super fighting for that spot. I think Hestia is just, her character design is just perfect. But the unfortunate thing is with Hestia, she's rarely ever around. Like, she's barely ever in the series. She's always in the town, and a lot of the series is in the dungeon. So it makes sense that she's not always there. But yeah, Lily is my favorite, and so to see her finally level up, I was just so happy for my girl. But yeah, they don't want to level up Bell because apparently, yeah, too much attention on him and that whole thing with the name. And if he levels up again, they're going to probably want to have a name. She just doesn't want to deal with it. She's like, no, I'm just going to leave him there. He's leveled up enough. Let's just leave him there. He's good. We get the party where we find out that, yes, Ryu's been avoiding Belle, which, again, she's obviously has a lot of feelings that she's conflicted with. Ryu has always been a very stoic character, so obviously with everything that happened in the previous season, with them getting stuck in the dungeon together, yes, her showing a lot of herself to him, she's obviously going to be quite embarrassed and not knowing how to kind of navigate those feelings. Thankfully, she's grown her hair back out. I like that. I really don't like her with the short hair. She's much better with longer hair. She's looking a lot better. But yeah, really cute little scene with her and Belle, and yes, him being a typical harem protagonist, constantly being insulted by everything she says. I can't look you in the face. Man, I'm that ugly. It's like that stupid, like, dude, really? Oh gosh, Belle, you're so clueless. It's so bad. But yeah, that piggybacks into Syr confronting Ryu, obviously knowing that Ryu loves Belle, and asking for her permission to go after Belle. And that's the sad thing there. Again, Ryu already knows that Syr is in love with Belle. And right here, Syr's basically confirming with her that it's going to be okay, that she can pursue him. Which, again, it's all that whole love triangle thing that really kind of sucks. But it's nice that Syr was at least asking. But yeah, that's when they receive the letter. Horn shows up. I don't think we've ever seen Horn before. Again, like a personal assistant to Freya. She's apparently, like, even though she's like a high-ranking person, she has no like nickname that's given to her, which apparently that's something that Freya had commanded, that nobody gives her a name, which is very interesting. But yeah, I like when they get the letter, it's like the entire time Harahime is like, can we stop talking about Horn? What's in the letter? Can we stop talking about that? What's in the letter? Who sent the letter? Like, Harahime's like, I want to know who the hell sent that. It was great. But yes, that's when Hestia flips out. She's talking about how their information network has a leak that Lily failed to keep her informed on. Apparently, this girl that has taken action, that there's this unspoken rule that you do not date Belle. We girls, we all hold the line. I just think it's so stupid and so funny at the same time. Hestia, you should know damn well that nobody is touching his heart. Now, yes, granted, lately here, it doesn't seem like Belle is as obsessed with Hestia as he used to be. Like, if you go back to, like, the first seasons, like, I don't know if it was really that much in season 2, but yeah, probably season 1 and season 2. One thing that Belle was always about was, like, if he was thinking about anything, it was Hestia. Like, somebody could be talking to him about hamburgers, and then suddenly out of nowhere, the conversation will just kind of slip right over to talk about Hestia. Like, Hestia was his everything. Hestia was his bestia. But yeah, I do agree that it seems like over the last couple seasons, it does seem like he talks about her less, which is kind of the sad thing, that Hestia has sort of been taking such a side position in the story. Like, she's rarely ever on screen. I think last season, the only time we ever seen Hestia was like at the very beginning when it was sending him off, and then like right at the point where Belle got his name. She gave him his name. So yeah, I guess that's not really too much of a threat for anybody anymore. But yeah, we got the scene with the Freya Familia. They're all talking about how to protect Syr. And again, this kind of, once again, pushes that heavily on us that this girl's either very important or at least just personally important to them. But again, I'm more straying towards the idea that she's just important. Again, possibly a candidate for goddesshood or very important to Freya. But yeah, Hedden attacks Belle, and then, like I said, the whole scene with Syr and Freya where she agrees. So we'll see, though. I'm kind of curious if the author kind of revealed their hand a little bit too much with this first episode, or possibly this is a lot of misdirection. I mean, there is a hope that this is misdirection, or it's just possibly the author going, you know, look, it's not that important. You can know what's going on, and let's just enjoy the story. So either way, we'll see how it plays out, but that's my thoughts on the first episode of season 5. I'm not sure if they're calling it like the culmination of the episodes, or if they're just doing season 5, episode 1. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know about the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it if it does. Until next time, I'll take care.